Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. What we're going to be doing today is installing this rear diffuser to the S550 Mustang. I got it from eBay for about $78.50. It's made out of polypropylene and it's really durable. It has some flex to it, so it looks like it's going to have some longevity to it. The reason why we're installing this is because we had one originally installed. This is a much more brittle material. I'm not sure what it's made out of, but we got it from American Muscle. Paid a little over $200 for this a couple years ago. I don't think it's available anymore. And I think the reason why it failed is because it was mainly held on by double-sided 3M tape. So I mean, it was limited on how long it was going to last, and it had a couple of points of contact. But I don't think that was enough, obviously, to hold it on, because I mean, it wound up crashing off. So that's the reason why we're installing this new diffuser. It has 4 fins. I think they're about 4.5 to 5 inches tall from the base to the point. So the benefit of this one, at least that I can think of from longevity standpoint, is the additional points of contact that it has. It's got 4 of them here towards the front, or however you want to call it. This is more the rear part that's going to show. And then it has additional points of contact to the bumper here. There's I guess a total of 6. So it looks like these tabs, you could choose to use the double-sided 3M tape, but with the experience we had on the recent one, we're going to go ahead and use, you can actually screw these tabs on to the rear diffuser, or I'm sorry, to the rear bumper. So I'm not sure what the install time is for this. I think if we were going to just fasten with these front tabs and then use double-sided 3M tape, it might take maybe about an hour. That's how long the original one took us to install. It was about 45 minutes to an hour. You know, lining it up, making sure we got it the way we wanted it. But for this one, because we're going to be using the screw tabs, we're not going to use the 3M tape. We're going to have to remove the rear bumper, so it could take a couple hours, but by the end of the video, we'll let you know how long everything took us.
So one of the first things that we decided to do was to remove the mesh that goes over the rear brake light. We really didn't like this. I guess they included it to give the diffuser some rigidity, but it had to go. So we used a Dremel tool to cut the bulk of the mesh out. It has a cutting wheel and it made the job really easy. I actually bought this tool specifically to cut this out. So I gotta tell you guys, this Dremel tool made things so easy. I've always wanted one of these and I never quite pulled the trigger. But now that I've owned it and used it, I gotta tell you, I don't know how I ever lived without one. I definitely recommend one of these. So I guess I should say that we have zero sponsorship from anyone for making this video. I just really like the tool. It's definitely a must-have for these kind of jobs. So now that we had the bulk of the mesh out of the way, we swapped out the cutting wheel with the sanding wheel. And I believe this was a 60 grit, maybe 80 grit. I don't quite remember, but we went probably on medium speed. I think this Dremel tool spin to about 7,000 RPM, so we went about right in the middle, just to make sure that we didn't take off any material that we didn't want to remove. So after we got done with the sanding wheel, it was down to good old manual labor. We just wanted to make sure at this point that we were really doing some fine sanding, so we didn't want it to look like we had actually cut a piece out of it. So what we're using here is 220 grit sandpaper. So we had to take off the rear bumper in order to screw the diffuser on. What we're doing here is just kind of doing a quick test fit, I guess. Really just wanted to see what it looks like with the mesh removed. We're pretty happy with the way it's starting to look already. What we're doing here is spraying an adhesive remover. This is the residue that's left over from the previous diffuser, so we wanted to get that off. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of residue left over from the previous diffuser. We used the 3M eraser wheel to remove the old 3M. You pretty much just put this wheel into your drill, and we went at a medium speed. We didn't want to go too fast and risk taking off some of the clear coat or maybe the paint, so we just took it easy here, just nice and slow. So after we were done with the eraser wheel, we started using Rain-X headlight restorer. The reason we're using this is because there was still some fine residue in the clear coat, and we didn't want to risk putting a gash into the clear coat or taking some paint off with the wheel. So we decided to go this route, and it worked out really well. It actually even buffed the rear bumper for us, so it came out looking really good. All the evidence of residue is completely gone. What the Rain-X actually does is acts like a rubbing compound, a real fine sandpaper. So the process of getting the old residue and adhesive off of the rear bumper, starting with the eraser wheel and then going to the Rain-X headlight restore, for the clear coat, took us a couple of hours. We really worked slow and steady just to make sure we got the job done right, and the clear coat looked great when we were done.
So what we're doing right here is we're marking off somewhat of a template so we can get a reference point on where we're going to be drilling on our fasteners for the diffuser. Alright, so we have our reference points taped down. I'm going to go ahead and start drilling through the bumper.
So the pilot holes that we're drilling out here represent the contact points that I mentioned earlier in the video, the 6 contact points where the diffuser is going to make contact with the rear bumper towards the back. So when we started pre-drilling through the reference points that are closest to the rear brake light, we realized we were going to have to remove the housing in order to prevent from damaging anything for the rear brake light. So this part was relatively easy, just a couple of minutes. You twist out the light bulb, and then there's just a few bolts holding it off, and then it slides right out. So now the next step is to drill out the pilot holes into the diffuser tab that are going to line up with the reference points that we just drilled out into the bumper. Alright guys, so I hate to admit it, but rookie mistake. Somehow we lost the video where we attached the diffuser onto the rear bumper, but that was actually the easiest part of the whole thing. We just had to screw it on, but here it is. It looks pretty good, so we're just going to attach it onto the car. Overall, I'd say this took about 5 hours to install, and that's with removal of the bumper, all the prep work that you saw, and then reinstallation of the bumper. So we took the car for a quick wash before the reveal. It was pretty dirty. Cool thing about this color is that even when it's dirty, it actually looks pretty clean. I have to say that the white pinstripe that we applied in the previous video is looking pretty sharp. It's a nice contrast between the black racing stripe and the competition orange. You guys, I gotta say that rear diffuser looks awesome. It's really aggressive without being too over the top, but it really finishes the look of that rear bumper. It just looks great. Alright guys, we hope you really enjoyed this video. More content to come. Please support the channel by subscribing and liking the content. And in upcoming videos, we'll be taking a look at the other machines in our garage and what the future plans are for those. Also guys, en route to our first 1,000 subscribers, we're going to be announcing a giveaway in the next video. So in order to take part in the giveaway, all you have to do is be subscribed and leave comments. We'll be using a random comment picker to select who's going to be the winner of the giveaway. And one last thing before we go guys, make sure you hit that bell notification so you're notified of the latest content and when it's up. And thanks again for watching.